Most people think destiny changes when money comes. Others believe it changes when someone finally gives them a chance. Some think it changes when life becomes easier, but sometimes destiny changes quietly. So quietly that most people miss it. Sometimes destiny changes at 5 a.m., when the streets are still empty, when the world is silent, when excuses are asleep. This is the story of a man whose life did not change because he was lucky, but because he made a decision no one else saw. His name was Eli. Eli was not born into opportunity. He was born into survival, a small home, thin walls, a life where you learn early that comfort is a luxury, not a guarantee. From a young age, Eli learned how to endure. But no one taught him how to dream. By his late 20s, life felt heavy. Not dramatic, not tragic, just heavy. Every day followed the same pattern. He woke up tired, rushed to work, worked hard but earned little, came home drained, slept without peace, and every night the same quiet question returned. Is this really all my life will ever be? He didn't ask it out loud. He was afraid of the answer. Psychologically, when a person lives the same struggle for too long, the mind begins to adapt to disappointment. You stop expecting more, not because you don't want it, but because hope starts to hurt. Eli wasn't lazy. He was exhausted. Exhausted from trying and seeing nothing change. Exhausted from praying short prayers that felt unanswered. Exhausted from waking up late and feeling behind life before the day even began. Some nights he whispered simple prayers. God, help me. No long words, no deep theology, just tired honesty. One night, after another long day, Eli sat alone in the dark. No phone, no music, just silence. And in that silence, something broke. For the first time, he admitted the truth to himself. I'm not afraid of failing. I'm afraid of staying like this forever. That thought stayed with him. And then, like a quiet echo from his childhood, a verse came back to his mind. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? Proverbs 6:9. It didn't feel like condemnation. It felt like a mirror, not accusing him, but asking him. That night, Eli made a decision so small it almost felt foolish. Tomorrow, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. No big plan, no announcement, no promise to change the world, just one quiet decision. When the alarm rang the next morning, everything inside him resisted. His body begged for more sleep. His mind argued. His fear whispered, what difference will this make? But he sat up anyway. The room was dark. The air was still. The world felt paused. And for the first time in years, Eli felt ahead of life instead of chasing it. He didn't know what to do. So he sat. He prayed, not perfectly, just honestly. He read, slowly, carefully. He thought, deeply. And then he came across another verse. Those who seek me early shall find me. Proverbs 8:17. Something shifted, not around him, inside him. There is something powerful about early mornings. Psychologically, the mind is calmer. Emotionally, the soul is quieter. At 5 a.m., there is no noise from the world telling you who you should be. No comparison, no pressure. Eli wasn't just waking early. He was meeting himself without distractions. Each morning, he did the same simple things. He reflected. He prayed. He learned. He planned. Not for hours, just consistently. At first, nothing dramatic happened. No sudden success. No financial breakthrough. No applause. But something deeper began to change. He became calmer, more focused, less reactive. He started thinking before speaking, listening more, reacting less. And slowly he began to understand another truth. Whoever is faithful with little will be faithful with much. Luke 16:10-5. AM wasn't about waking early. It was about faithfulness. Weeks passed, then months. And without realizing it, Eli began to change from the inside out. He read more, learned skills, strengthened his discipline, and something unexpected happened. He stopped feeling small because poverty is not only about money, it is about identity. The moment Eli changed how he started his mornings, he changed how he saw himself. But growth is never smooth. One morning, exhausted and discouraged, Eli turned off the alarm. It wasn't dramatic, no breakdown, no loud decision, just a quiet surrender. He told himself, just today, but that day felt different. The morning rushed him, the noise returned, the heaviness came back, and something inside him noticed what he had forgotten so easily. The old life doesn't disappear, it waits. That day, Eli moved through the hours with a familiar weight on his chest. The same thoughts returned, the same impatience, the same inner frustration. That night he sat on his bed and stared at the floor, realizing something painful. Progress is fragile when discipline becomes optional. Psychologically, this is where most people lose their momentum, not because they don't want change, but because discomfort always fights back. The mind prefers familiarity over growth, even if familiarity hurts. Eli understood then that waking up early wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was choosing discomfort repeatedly without immediate reward. The next morning, the alarm rang again. This time, the voice inside him was louder. You already failed. You broke the routine. What's the point now? And that voice sounded logical. But another thought surfaced, quieter but stronger. If I quit now, I return to who I was. So he got up, tired, uninspired, still uncertain, but present. Something changed in his mornings after that. They became harder, not physically, emotionally, because now the mornings forced him to confront himself, his fears, his regrets, his self-doubt. There were mornings he prayed and felt nothing. Mornings he read and understood little. Mornings when silence felt uncomfortable, but he stayed. And that taught him something powerful. Growth doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels confronting. Weeks later, Eli began noticing subtle but important changes. He was no longer reacting impulsively. He paused before speaking. He listened longer. Emotionally, he felt more stable. Psychologists call this delayed gratification, the ability to tolerate discomfort today for a better tomorrow. Spiritually, he felt something else, alignment. He remembered another scripture, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10-5. AM gave him stillness, and stillness gave him clarity. But clarity brings responsibility. As Eli grew mentally stronger, life began testing him more. Unexpected bills, family pressure, moments where giving up felt logical. There were mornings he cried quietly, not because life was unbearable, but because it was demanding growth. He realized something important. God wasn't removing the struggle. God was strengthening him within it. One morning, after a particularly hard week, Eli opened his Bible and read, though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Psalm 37:24. That verse stayed with him all day. He wasn't perfect. He stumbled, but he wasn't abandoned. Months passed. Eli began waking before the alarm, not because it was easy, but because his body had learned discipline. His mind was sharper, his thoughts were clearer, his emotions were steadier, and slowly opportunity began responding, not rushing toward him, but noticing him. People trusted his consistency, respected his calm, valued his discipline, because discipline changes how the world responds to you. One day, Eli realized something profound. The mornings had rebuilt his identity. He was no longer the man waiting for life to change. He was the man preparing for it. There were still hard days, still uncertainty, still moments of doubt, but he now understood a deep truth. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. Proverbs 21:5. Abundance didn't only mean money, it meant peace, direction, self-respect. Eli once believed destiny was loud and dramatic. Now he knew destiny is quiet, consistent, patient. It shows up when you do. That night he realized something important. The old life is always waiting for you to return. From that day on, Eli stopped negotiating with discipline because discipline isn't about motivation, it's about alignment. He remembered, discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness. 1 Timothy 4:7-5. AM became sacred, not religious, intentional. Years later, Eli's life looked different. Not perfect, but purposeful. Opportunities came, not because he chased them, but because he became someone ready to receive them. People trusted him more, respected him more, not because he talked more, but because he showed up consistently. He finally understood, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. Proverbs 21:5-5. AM didn't make him special. It made him prepared. Eli once believed destiny was something you waited for. Now he knew the truth. Destiny responds to daily obedience, to quiet mornings, to unseen discipline, to showing up when no one is watching. Maybe you're listening right now, feeling tired, feeling behind, feeling unseen. Maybe life hasn't been fair. Maybe your prayers feel unanswered. But hear this gently. Your breakthrough may not come loudly, it may come quietly at 5 a.m. Because while the world sleeps, destiny listens. If this story spoke to you, stay with us. Subscribe, not for motivation, but for transformation. In the next story, we'll talk about why discipline feels harder than it should and how to overcome it. Your story isn't over. It may just be waiting for you to wake up earlier than fear.